everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm Jake. Alongside me, Steven, the Stream King, the Far Cry guy. The guy who got Ace of Spades recently.
I did.
Cried about it.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk. We're going to have words about
We're going to talk about it because I need to mourn, and I need your help.
The grieving period has started. Anyway, if you didn't know, this is Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about TV shows, movies, animes, video games, mostly video games, and whatever else we want to talk about, because it's a fun, free-for-all show. And you can be a part of it by joining our Discord and commenting on our Discord podcast questionnaire channel. You can also get to us at chortlecast@gmail.com. You can write in, let us know about topics you want to hear us talk about, and if you have any topic questions you'd like us to discuss, you can submit those there as well. We really do appreciate that. Yeah, you can be a part of the show, and it's a lot of fun, and we have a lot of fun, and we're going to have a lot of fun today, because today we have a great show. We're going to be talking about Spiderman, which we've played just a little bit of, on the channel. And
a little bit, yeah.
And even something we've played even less, probably, is Forsaken. Steven, have you heard of that?
It's been mentioned a couple times by a couple strapping young men. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard about it. So
yeah.
it's kind of a, it's out there. But anyway, and then
kind
we're
of an insider secret, yeah.
All the insiders, right? We're going to talk about Henry Cavill and if he's leaving the Superman role or not, or what all that crap's about. And then we're going to talk all about today's, or Thursday's rather, Nintendo Direct, which talked about a lot of cool stuff. So anyway, we're going to get started, jump right into it. Let's talk about Spider-Man, or Spooderman, as I like to call him.
The only downside to our Spider-Man streams, aside from the fact that they've been blocked,
they've been unblocked.
Okay.
YouTube.
Good.
YouTube has resolved itself.
Fantastic.
It had a little fart where it was like, but now it's good to go. So,
Spider-Man just stole that guy's pizza. Never showed up for any of them. Like, what's up with that?
That's a sub for those of you that don't know.
Yeah.
We have a sub named Spider-Man Stole That Guy's Pizza.
Yeah.
A very appropriate name for this topic, but never
well.
showed up.
All right. So, what do you think of Spider-Man?
So I'll start, since I am nowhere near as done with it as Steven is, which you haven't beaten it yet, right?
I'm very close, but I haven't beaten it yet.
Okay, I didn't know if, we talked about it almost 2 days ago, so I didn't know if you had come to the end. So it's insanely fun.
Oh yeah.
The swinging, which I think is probably the most important part of any Spider-Man game, they nailed it. They really, really nailed it. When you first jump out the window and start swinging after the first cutscene, and you're in it, it feels very natural. It feels very intuitive, and it works. It works really good, and you can't help but have a smile on your face doing it.
Yeah, Anyone that watched our first live stream from last Thursday night, I had not played the game. I had not looked at anything that was anything other than E3 stuff. And the moment when it throws you into the web swinging, I was a kid again watching Spider-Man cartoons on Saturday morning. Oh my gosh. I've said this to everyone that's asked me about it. I have not smiled that much playing a video game in a very long time.
It's great. It's really good. It's by far the best part of the whole thing. It's very fun. It's very intuitive. I will say, I wish, people always, when they talk about a Spider-Man game, they're like, just give us the Spider-Man 2 game. Just give us that again. What I liked about the swinging in that game was you could press L2 to shoot your left web and R2 to shoot your right web, and it would hold until you released.
Yeah.
And so there were some cool things you could do with that, like you could literally, go left, press web left, go right, web right. But you could also grab two walls and stop and swing and do things. And there was a lot that was involved in that gave you a lot of control that I really liked and really enjoyed that is not present in this. That said, this is way more intuitive, and there's still a level of skill to it, like figuring out when to do a quick zip, when to zip to a point and launch off of that point, and then when to just swing. And then even on the swinging, there's a lot of where do you release on the swing? That's going to have a big play into it. So it's a multi-layered thing, and I really have liked it and enjoyed that part of it. So
Right.
it's real good. Story wise, I'm really liking it so far.
Yeah.
I again, I'm not very far at all. I'm maybe I'm trying to think because I've been doing a lot of just side quests. Like I've got all the backpacks, I've
Yeah.
got all the landmarks.
Yep.
I'm working on research stations now. Uh, I'd say story wise, I'm probably 3 or 4 hours in total max, and probably a little under that because again, I've been doing a lot of other stuff. Um, but the story, I like it so far. I like how it doesn't baby us into here's the origin story of Spider-Man again.
Yes.
It's what I'm more interested in is I know who Spider-Man is. I know how he got. I already know all this stuff. But what's interesting is jumping into a period of his life that's not always done, which is the mature, been doing this for a while Spider-Man who knows how to fight, who knows how to swing. He's using technology.
Yep.
I like jumping into his world and being like, "Oh, what are he and Mary Jane up to? Oh my gosh, they're broken up. What? What's that about? What's that? She's a writer. She's a reporter. She's not an actor. Like, what's that about?" Even Aunt May working at a homeless shelter. That was very much just Aunt May at a homeless shelter. That's perfect. Like, I love that.
Yep.
There's a great moment when you're learning all the crimes and you save a person who's being assaulted. And there's this little cutscene where the person's like, "Thanks for saving me, Spider-Man, but I'm still a homeless piece of shit," or whatever. And he's like, he's real nice, and he's like, "Hey, go to Feast. They got the best wheat cakes in town." And I just took that as like at base level. I was like, "Oh, cool! Look, he's pointing them to a homeless shelter. That's real nice. Look at you, Spider-Man. You're so nice." But then later on, it's like, "Oh, Aunt May works here. Duh. Okay, I get the wheat cake."
And
thing.
that person actually is at Feast for the rest of the game. You can find them there.
I figured you could find them. I just haven't looked, but anyway.
Uh,
So yeah, it's real nice. But what are your thoughts, Steven? Obviously, you like swinging as well, but
the gameplay is perfect. The web swinging is simple enough where I could probably give the controller to my younger siblings, and they could swing. They could have fun with it. But it does require a skill set to pull off some of the cooler things, like zipping around, using the R2L2 to zip to a spot quick, then doing a point launch, and then just doing flips and stuff.
Right.
And so it's easy to do, but once you get good at it, it just looks like some of the most fluid movement you've ever seen. The combat's great. It feels so Spider-Man, where you, without having to be too plugged in and without having to learn too much or be overly good at video games, you feel like you're everywhere in the fight.
Right.
Like Spider-Man. Like a guy might be trying to sneak up on you with a gun, but he's there. And you could, like, with the press of a couple buttons, just thwip a manhole, swing it, and then hit him from behind you. Like, it just does such a good job of having you be kind of everywhere at once and omni-aware, like Spider-Man is, and just being able to be anywhere at a moment's notice. The slow-mo on perfect dodges is so cool.
Yep.
It's just, everyone's been saying this, joking to the point to where it's kind of like, yeah, that's what all the reviewers are saying, but it makes you feel like Spider-Man. It absolutely does. And to piggyback off of your point, the story is like, it's a new story. It does a good job of not being something we've already seen, but it feels so familiar in a good nostalgic way. Because like when I play this, it makes me think of like late 90s, early 2000s Spider-Man, the one that I grew up with, like the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man the Animated Series, because it's got all the classic beats of those Spider-Man stories where you've got Peter Parker down on his luck, where he's like at the beginning of the game, you find out he's getting evicted from his apartment and he doesn't have time to care because he's there for the city where Peter Parker suffers from it so that Spider-Man can be there for everybody else. That's classic Peter Parker. You've got scenes where he goes and talks to Aunt May, and it has, Aunt May and Peter having their talks where she offers sage wisdom. You've got the public kind of turning on Spider-Man, which, that's one of the great things about Peter Parker. No matter how many times everyone's like, "Oh, Spider-Man, you freak. Oh, we don't need you. You're the cause of all the problems." He still tries to save them. And it understands the character and the source material so well. It's amazing, really, how well this game does of representing the character that I've grown up with specifically into this new reborn kind of way, where it's like we're bringing back the Spider-Man that so many of this generation grew up with, and with all the money it's been making, I'd say it's here to stay, and it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah.
But just bravo to Insomniac. Not only did they make a mechanically brilliant game that looks gorgeous, but they really nailed the writing in this too. It feels how it's supposed to. All the characters are great. I just love the game. It's so good.
I want to piggyback off two things. The first, you mentioned the combat. My favorite thing to do is to just web people up.
Yep.
And stick them to walls.
Web them up and then swing them and stick them to a wall. Yep.
So I'm basically just trying to figure out the most efficient way to get them stuck to a wall, and it's basically what you said: web them up, press triangle, swing them around, throw them at a wall. That, or if they just happen to be standing next to a wall, just web them up there, and they'll eventually stick to the wall.
The best one is you get web bombs eventually, which is like a little grenade that sticks people. So you can web bomb a group, then go up and you get a concussive blast, which is just like a push move. So you web them up and then just go, and then throw them all against the wall. That's the best.
That's great. Right now, my least favorite person to fight is the Brute, which are just big guys. But I imagine further in the game, it gets a lot more frustrating.
Yep.
But anyway,
Brutes become fodder.
Oh, really?
You can brain those guys.
I love braining dudes. So the other thing I want to talk about is something you mentioned when we were just hanging out the other night online. You mentioned that the story feels longer than you were expecting.
Yeah.
Like most reviewers have put it at 15 to 20 hours, but you feel like you've played 25 almost, is something
well,
to that
I've
effect.
definitely played the game for longer than the 15 hours, but there's a lot of side quests. There are a lot of side activities.
Right.
And I spent 3.5 hours. We have evidence of this on YouTube. I spent 3.5 hours just web swinging around finding backpacks, and it was a blast.
Right.
So the story doesn't feel short because it's got a 3-act structure. Without spoiling anything, you've got the first act, which deals with Kingpin and his goons a little bit, that leads into the demons and Lee and that whole thing, Mr. Negative. And then you actually deal with Mr. Negative at the end of the second act. So the third act is, no spoilers, don't worry. I just hit my mic. Sorry, little mic. No spoilers, but the third act adds 2 new enemy factions. And then there's bosses to fight too. Wow. So like, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, we're about to do the last thing, because the part that we saw at E3 when I got to the raft, I was like, okay, we've only got a few missions left probably. No, I've been playing a lot more since. So the story does not feel short. It feels like the right length. It honestly does. And with all the side activities, I do not feel like I got gypped. I've 100% already gotten my money's worth.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I've probably played 6 or 7 hours, but only 3 or 4 have been dedicated to story alone. And I'm probably overshooting there a little bit. But anyway, well, that's great. So Spider-Man's great. Another thing we've been playing a lot of is Destiny Forsaken. We've live streamed a lot. We live streamed through the full story. We have avenged Cade. We got into the Dreaming City, and that's where we left off last time. I don't know that there's much more story beats left. I think we're going to be hitting more of like a just Destiny lore type path at this point on, going forward with Dreaming City and the raid as that comes forward. So what did you think about the Cade story in Forsaken? What's your take from all that we witnessed and experienced?
I loved the story.
And sorry, I'll just say we're probably going to be a little bit spoilerishy here. I'm going to give us that free reign for that.
Right. So, sorry, I'm reading some lore that I wanted to mention here in a minute.
Okay.
I love the story. I thought it was very well handled. I thought, just kind of rehashing what we already said last week a little bit, but Nolan North did a good job filling Nathan Fillion's shoes. It wasn't the same. He wasn't as good, but Nathan Fillion is very hard to replace. He's impossible to replace. The best you can do is a cheap imitation, and Nolan North goes a little bit above that.
He's a reasonably priced imitation.
Yes, he is. He's you feel like you're not being cheated, but you still wish you had the better one.
It's like getting the iPhone XR and wishing you had the iPhone XS Max. Sorry, that's my Apple event plug for today.
Okay,
and that's all I'm gonna
sure.
do.
But the story is framed as a revenge tale. And I like that, for the most part, that's what it is. No more, Panoptes is going to wipe out existence, or the Hive are going to use the Warmind to destroy existence, or Gaul is going to destroy our existence. It's just, Uldren pissed me off, and I'm going to get revenge. And I loved that. It like, the execution of the story was great. It was very stylish. The way you take out the Barons is cool because it's not actual story missions. It's segmented boss battles, which was really neat.
Yeah.
I loved
really
that.
Nice. They were all very different. Like, one time we were all on not sparrows, but
pikes.
Pikes riding around, shooting up those people. There was one where we were in a tank. There was one, oh man, the best one by far was the Trickster. That was the one. She can, like, mess with people's minds and stuff. So we start that mission and we go to investigate something. I can't exactly remember what it was. We fought some people there, and then after we fought them, an exotic Ingram dropped. And if you're not playing the game right now, you think, oh, okay, what? It's an exotic Ingram. No. Exotic Ingrams are
They're
like
so rare
non-existent in this game anymore, to the point that I had dreams last night that I was getting exotic Ingrams somehow. And I woke up just to be disappointed that I have not gotten any exotic Ingrams in like a few weeks. Anyway, that exotic Ingram drops, and I don't know if you and Brody were saying something to me or not. I just saw exotic Ingram, and my brain went black. I was all in, grab the Ingram and go.
I was a little bit more mindful. I don't know where Brody was, but I saw the exotic Ingram drop, and I thought to myself, I was like, "What, Trickster?"
I vaguely remember you saying something like, "Wait," I said,
"Wait, don't pick it up! It's a trap!" I actually yelled that.
You say that as I grab it, and then sure enough, it's a bomb. And then I just threw it, and it blows up. But then it eventually got ridiculous. Like, she was dropping like 50 or so in a pile, and it was just a bundle of exotics. But anyway, yeah, they were all very fun. They were all very good. I agree with what you said. I love that it is solely a tale of revenge. There's a lot of questioning of, is this revenge or is it justice? And for me, at that point in the game, and I'm curious to know what percentage of people, where they land on this. I almost wish there had been a survey at the end that was like, did you feel like that was justice or revenge? Like, because I was like, F it, we're killing Uldren. This is it. We're done. I want to shoot him in the face. The thing I'm most mad about is the final boss of this whole story, if you will, is not Uldren.
Yep.
We didn't get to fight him. We got the cutscene where he dies. But
that's kind of what makes it worse, though. Like worse in a way that's understandable why he wasn't the final boss, is because that's not Uldren. Uldren's not a fighter. He's a snake. And so if we fought him, it would have been a slaughter. And so, like, the fact that this sniveling little insect killed Cade was even more insulting. And remind me when I talk about the Ace of Spades quest, that's touched on a little bit, but we'll finish talking about the rest of the story.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm glad it was a revenge story. I'm glad we did get revenge. But I would be curious to see, because I feel like most people who played it were like, yeah, effing shoot him, why are we even questioning this? And I'm sure a lot of people were mad at Zavala I did like the line that Zavala had, and this made me pause and think, "Oh, I'm so glad we killed him, but we probably should have thought this through." He
Yeah.
was like, "There will be consequences for this." He was like, "I don't
Yep.
know what they are. I don't know when they'll come, but someday, somehow, someone's gonna knock on our door and be like, 'You guys killed Aldrin Sov. We're
Yep.
going to war,' you know." And it's like, "Oh well, he killed Cade, so I don't care. I'll deal with that when it comes. I've got a bow now. Leave me alone." Um, but anyway, so talk about getting the Ace of Spades. That's probably would you say that's your first exotic in
I got Chromatic Fire from Crucible.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
I got
yeah.
that with you, which it looks goofy as hell.
Right.
It's fine. Before I talk about Ace, let me just mention that I do like how once revenge is served, the curtain kind of pulls back on the Dreaming City to show that there is a bigger plot at hand, kind of. There's bigger stuff happening. You've got Riven, who is pretty much confirmed to be an Ahamkara, which is like a shape-shifting dragon. And that might be the boss of the raid.
The raid, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. That's really cool.
The Dreaming City is really interesting because we got into the Dreaming City. There was a mission. There was a real interesting story beat. Like, while we were traveling through, there was some invisible light person who was like, "You guys should leave. Like, you guys shouldn't be here. Like, why are you dealing with this? Whatever." And I'm sure that's going to be either Riven or somebody later down the road who's an adversary. But he was talking to us for a long time. We get there, we see that Queen Mara is still, in fact, alive and present somehow. But then, like, we finished that mission, and it was like, okay, cool, what are we doing next? And it's like, no, the Dreaming City is here, go. Just, like, literally the mission, if you call it that, it's not even a mission, it's almost just a milestone. It just says, like a weekly milestone, it just says, explore the Dreaming City. And so, I don't know if it's just, when the raid comes, suddenly a lot more is going to open up there, which obviously something will open up there for us to do the raid, but like I don't know, there's so much more that we haven't even begun to dig around in there. That's going to be a really exciting spot, and I kind of like that we're going to have to figure it out for ourselves a little bit. That it isn't going to be so much story driven as much as it is going to be just piecing lore together,
right,
and moving from there. But anyway, all right, so are you ready to talk about Ace of Spades?
I'm ready to talk about Ace. Ready to air my emotions. Hi, I'm Steven, and I'm mourning currently. So when Cade dies, you go up to Banshee in the tower, and Banshee tells you, it says in Cade's will that whoever killed him gets his possessions, but that's not right. I'm not going to let Ace of Spades stay with Aldrin Sov. Promise me one thing, you'll put him in the ground. Bring back Ace. Because Cade was a hunter through and through. Like, Banshee was one of the most torn up about Cade's death.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, hold on to that thought. Just remember, Banshee was one of the most torn up by Cade's death.
Yeah, okay.
So, you get the quest, and then once you kill Aldrin, you have the Ace, then you have to go into Gambit and get 5 invasion kills, which is not invading, it's killing invaders. You have to kill them with a hand cannon. This was the worst part, because invaders always come in with an overshield, they see you first, they always have sleeper stimulant, and they always kill you. I managed to do it. It only took like 6 games. It was ridiculous. But I managed to do that. Brody helped me. Jeremy helped me from 8-Bit Gamesters as well. So got that part done. Then you have to get 250 kills with a hand cannon in strikes, which, by the way, my weapon of choice was Crimson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. That thing's range, I never realized, is almost maxed out for a hand cannon. It's insane.
It's really good.
Yeah. So I was using Crimson in the strikes, knocked that out in 2 strikes. Done. Cool. Then it was like, hey, go precision kill 25 Guardians in the Crucible. And I was just thinking, okay, this isn't going to be as annoying.
With a hand cannon?
With a hand cannon. I know. I told myself this isn't going to be as annoying as Gambit, because at least I'm always able to try, to where I've always got Guardians to point and shoot at. And so I started. Jake, I knocked that out in 3 games.
Wow.
I got 11 precision kills with Crimson in 1 life.
Wow.
I went so hard.
That's not going to happen for me. That's not going to happen for me at all.
It was great. I actually played a round of Crucible after all of that, just to get enough tokens to get another thing from Shaxx. But right. I was like, okay, I'm on a hot streak. I think I've currently got a 4-win streak on Crucible active. It was great, Jake. I enjoyed Crucible by myself. It was weird, but I did that, and then Banshee gives you coordinates to Cade stashes. These are really hard to find. I had to use the internet for a couple of them, but it's stashes that you find around, I think, Io, Nessus, EDZ, and Tangled Shore are where they're located. Once you find those, you are given a quest. Called Ace in the Hole, I think. It takes place in the Arcology. You know that mission on Titan when you're escaping in the tank thing?
Right.
Takes place there, but you go backwards. So you go from where you took off and you run with no tank, so you've got a lot of hive to kill. Right. And you find his stashes throughout that mission. There are 10 of them, and each time you open one, it's his farewell letter to various characters in the game. The first one was Eris Morn, which you don't know because she was in Destiny 1. She was the stranger. She wasn't the stranger. She was the one whose fire team was wiped out by Crota. She lost her ghost, and to survive, she took the eyes of an acolyte and basically lived amongst Crota's end for years. She's really weird, and you've probably heard Cade mention that he misses Eris, and then he took her ship. In Taken King, it begins with Eris putting a crystal on Cade's map because she's like, darkness is coming, and Cade's just like, Eris, don't touch my map. Like, just something Cade. And then he ends up fixing up her ship so that you can use it with a stealth thing to sneak up to the ship. So that's what all of that was referencing. So in Cade's letter to her, he's like, all right, let's do this. Eris Morn, well, you did it. You killed me. I assume you finally became a hive god, some kind of giant blob monster, and consumed me for what I did to your ship. Again, sorry. I'm not even mad, if I'm right. Only then. But I guess now we're even. You can put your crystal on my map whenever you want. Just something like that. Just something like goofy, and it felt like Cade. And he continues with each chest to where, like, a few of them, like, you learn some stuff about the Drifter. You learn that the Drifter's basically got a target on his back from you-know-who, as Cade calls him. We don't know who that is, but I think... Know who. Yeah. I think that he mentioned something about the one with the golden gun. So someone hunting the Drifter might be a gunslinger. He may have been talking about Cade. I don't know. Some of it was kind of weird in context because I was too busy wiping tears from my face. Because, I was on the ground trying not to cry. Then I cried a lot. Right. But then it does a message to his hunters. And he's like, okay, so this one's out to my hunters. And so I'm just going to name a name here. Okay, Marcus Wren. Guess what? You've been dared. Guess you're the new Vanguard now. He straight up, and now he says, people have said that he said that only happens if Marcus was the one to kill him. But it just seemed weird because it was like, whoa, Cade just dared Marcus, and they just kind of dropped it in there. Marcus Wren is a legendary Sparrow pilot who is the creator of the Stompies and the Frosties. He created your pants, basically. I love my pants, so. Yes. So Marcus Wren might be the new Vanguard. We don't know yet. But there was just so much detail that he dropped. He mentioned there was I forget the name of one of them. One of them sounded like it was straight up a tease to another DLC, and he was very vague. Then he got to the Vanguard, to Zavala. He was like, I'll miss getting my pants kicked off in chess and then kicking your pants off in poker, and just really, really, jokey with Zavala. And then he got to Ikora. And Ikora, you could tell his voice was different. He was like, so Ikora, I hear you, you probably know I'm making these. And to you, my message is pretty clear. I hope you don't hate me. I never hated you. I the opposite of hated you, actually. And he's like really genuine and just, and it sounded kind of like a confession of feelings a little bit to Ikora, or at least that he was much fonder of her that he put off, which we always kind of knew in the way his tone was, like whenever Ikora was missing and stuff like that. Then he got to the last one. This was too much. He says, all right, this one's to the strong silent type. You know who you are, us. If you're hearing this, it means that you finally outdid me like I always knew you would. The ace is yours, kid. Take care of her. And I don't mean in a maintenance way. Banshee will help you with that. I mean, take care of her. Put her to good use, pretty much. And I don't think he said her. I think he does say it, but, you know, whatever. And then he rambles on a little bit more, and he's just like, well, you know what they say. Every story has its end, and this is mine. And that's it. That's the last you hear of Cade.
I'm really crying.
And I heard that, and I was like, no, Cade. and then it gets worse. It actually gets worse. So flying back to the tower, you're supposed to talk to Banshee. And so Cade 6, you know, the Exos reset their memories and everything, and each time they get their memories reset, they get a number. Cade is Cade 6. Banshee is Banshee 44. So he's been around for a while.
He's been around a long time.
So when you take it to Banshee, Banshee's like, okay, awesome. Ace is fixed up, looks good as new. Put it to good use, all that kind of stuff. And then he just goes, wait. And just kind of looks around. Have you seen Cade lately? So
those of you not watching on youtube.com/c/Chortle Games, I just threw my headset and walked off camera and away from Mike and screamed.
Banshee forgot that Cade died because his memory's all screwy. So the guy who was leading the charge, remember Cade, doesn't remember him. And that was when I cried a lot. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. I hate you. This should have been, like, the last thing we talked about. Because, like, I can't go on right now. You've had a few days to deal with this.
I dealt with this last night.
Well, you had a couple hours then to deal with this. I am...
So...
That's hard.
Oh, man. Kudos to them, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was very well handled. But the Ace is a ballin' gun. Like, it's so good. It's got Memento Mori, which makes it to where after you get a kill, if you reload, you get 6 shots that are empowered.
Right.
It's also got a part of that, you have radar while aiming. So that's a part of Memento Mori. And then it's got Firefly, which is really ironic, Cade's gun having Firefly. Which is precision kills, do solar explosions.
Right.
So it's a really good gun. High damage, good reload speed. It's pretty. Is
it a kinetic weapon?
It's kinetic.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But very nice touch to close his chapter. I hope that Marcus is the new Vanguard. That would be interesting. I want either him or Shiro from Iron Lords to be the new Vanguard, but I guess we'll see. Gosh, that was depressing.
All right, we're gonna move on to, I guess maybe funnier news. Henry, I don't know how to segue out of that, Stephen. To be frank with you, I knew you were going to talk about it. I knew it was going to be sad.
Speaking of Marcus Wren, just because I just saw this quote when I looked him up. Here's a quote from him. 2 words: sparrow jousting. 2 words: why not? So he seems like he's Cade's kindred spirit.
On the subject of why not, Henry Cavill is maybe leaving the role of Superman.
We don't
really know.
Stupid. This whole thing is dumb.
Stupid. It is dumb. I don't understand. So we're gonna walk it back and just kind of explain kind of what has happened, and really we still don't know anything. Uh, what was it?
Hollywood Reporter, I believe.
Hollywood Reporter
Yeah.
was doing a piece on Superman appearing in Shazam. And Warner Brothers' comment to them was he is not going to be in Shazam and is not planned for any future DC movies. I think the world took that line as no more Superman in DC movies.
Yeah.
And then that came out to Henry Cavill is leaving. Since then, we've gotten an Instagram video from Henry Cavill, who's wearing a Superman t-shirt.
Krypton lifting team.
Right. He lifts up a action figure of Superman. That is him. And then he just puts it down and says nothing. People have been interpreting that as him saying, nah, guys, I'm still Superman. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't say anything. And, I mean, just raising an action figure and putting it back down is not any kind of hard evidence. So people still don't really know. WB, Warner Brothers, all their comments is we have good relationships with Henry Cavill. And
no decisions have been made.
No decisions have been made. Which is not a no, it's everything's fine. And it's not a yes, he's left. I'm very confused about this whole situation. I don't like it.
I'll tell you what my assumption is about this whole situation. Henry Cavill posting that video was him reaffirming. That's what I think of him saying, I am Superman. Right. But him not saying anything. Do you know what that did, Jake?
What did it do?
That got people talking.
Got buzz.
Got a lot of buzz.
Right.
And now, for better or for worse, you've got people talking about DC's movies.
Right.
And if
they're talking about how stupid it is.
But think about it. If you show somebody a worst case scenario, and then you take away that worst case scenario, the situation they had is going to seem brighter than what they thought was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So them being like, hey, one of the better parts about the DCEU, he may not be here. Okay, he actually is. So now it's like, hey, count your blessings, you animals. Like that's kind of, I feel like that might be where it ends up. I think we still will see him in Shazam in some kind of cameo, and I think it's going to be a big kind of awesome. He's still here, personally. I think that I wouldn't put it past the studio, WB, to make stupid decisions such as kicking Cavill. Right. Because apparently a part of the rumor is that Supergirl will replace him. Which those are not interchangeable characters.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Supergirl has her own TV show that has been well received.
Absolutely, yeah, one of my favorites.
So, like, it just seems like they are so. If this is true, which I still don't believe it's true. Miles texted us that, and I was like, "That's a rumor." And then he was like, "Yeah, they're talking about Michael B. Jordan to replace him," and I was like, "There's no way that's true." Like, there's no way.
Interesting now is as the story's developed, it's also saying that Ben Affleck is leaving Batman, which that's been an ongoing kind of rumor. So I don't know, but I'll say this: I don't know if it's true or not yet. I don't really have. I personally believe that if this is all coming about right now, and every article I've seen written about it is they seem very factual about it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not reporting this as a rumor. They're reporting it as this is happening.
That's what's so weird about this, because there is no concrete evidence at all. And everyone's like, oh, he's gone.
That's what makes me think there is some sort of concrete evidence that we just don't know about. Is because everyone is reporting it like it is a done deal fact. But anyway, I digress. Regardless, if this is their plan, they are so stupid.
Yep.
You build your universe off of your main characters, right? Like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they were in an interesting place where they didn't have any main characters. Like, the Avengers were still they were popular in the comics, but they had never been done in a movie. So they said, look, let's start with Iron Man, and let's go from there. Iron Man's still freaking around.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
This would have been like
10 years later.
This would have been like Iron Man not coming back after Avengers 1, which
Yeah. Absolutely. That is a great analogy. But it's like, how did you not get these actors to at least know what they're signing up for? You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like, who's to say what's going to happen after Avengers 2? Whether, Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth, if any of them are still going to be around for any other movies. But the day they signed up to be Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, whatever, they knew they were coming to this point 10 years later.
Yep.
And whether or not they're ready to jump the ship now or not, whatever, they still had the commitment. I would be shocked, absolutely blown away if they didn't have something like that with Henry Cavill and we're just like, yeah, man, you know what? If you want to go on and do Witcher or whatever, that's fine. Just leave. Like, I don't understand how that can work. But anyway, that's stupid. We'll move on. Let's talk about a happier news, I guess. This Alan Wake TV show that's being made. Steven, talk about that.
Let me tell you about some of the best news I've gotten all week.
Wow.
Alan Wake. This is good news, Jake.
I'm glad. You very rarely do any of you guys like say to me, "Hey, Jake, we need to talk about this in the podcast."
So
very rarely, very few and far between. So when you jumped up and were like, "We got to talk about this. This is great," I was like, I mean, I heard about this, but I didn't think it was that great.
That's because you usually have a pretty good grip on things that are happening in the world. So
I knew about this. I just didn't know it was important to talk about. So go ahead.
So Alan Wake is a game that came out on the Xbox 360, done by Remedy. They had worked on Max Payne. I think Max Payne 1 and 2, maybe. I don't know about 3. I think that was Rockstar. I don't know. I never played Max Payne. Mm-hmm. But they are superb when it comes to blending story and playability. So it was a third-person shooter about an author that was down on his luck going to a lake house with his wife to try to find his inspiration again. He was a horror author. And there was a lot of examples of like Stephen King and other horror authors that he quoted and that were referenced.
Just so I had the visuals right, this is the one where you're armed with like a flashlight.
Yes.
And you're fighting darkness.
Yes.
And then eventually you get a gun and there's some other weird things that
yes.
happen. Okay.
So,
all right,
so
like darkness possesses chairs and throws them at you and stuff like that.
Yeah, darkness possesses people and you have to burn the darkness off of them with light. So like flares become grenades and flashbangs are really good grenades. But so this guy, you spend a lot of time in this town, and it was a beautiful game for its time. The graphics still hold up. But this town is just, a quiet old town, and something goes wrong where Alan Wake, his wife goes missing, and he blacks out for like a few days and wakes up in a car. And darkness has started to possess this town, and as you're playing the game, you find pages, and you find out that he wrote the next few days while he was blacked out for those days. So you'd like find a page that described the glistening of an axe in the moonlight coming down at you, and then shortly after that, you'd fight a guy with an axe.
Yep.
So it was a really cool way of blending like writing, like an author creating his own nightmares, cool stuff like, and it was stylized like the Twilight Zone a lot.
Right.
So then they've said, and in this article, Variety reported this. Sam Lake was the guy who created Alan Wake, and he always imagined it as a TV show. You can especially see that in the kind of sequel American Nightmare,
right?
Where it's literally a TV show.
Right.
And so he was like, "This is perfect. Let's do this." So far, it's being the showrunner and writer is Peter Calloway, who did Cloak and Dagger, which I haven't watched, but even better, he did Legion.
That's good.
Yeah, and like if you've ever watched Legion and played Alan Wake, like the moment I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's literally the perfect pairing, because Legion's super trippy, plays with lighting and perspective and mind bending and stuff like that. So it's perfect. So Sam Lake, the creator, is on as executive producer. So Remedy is directly attached to the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we have as news so far. No studio is attached, but they're going to start pitching
or
it.
anything like that. Yeah.
Nothing like that. They're going to start pitching in October.
Mm-hmm.
But even if studios don't pick this up, there's no way that Netflix or Hulu wouldn't pick this up.
I was going to say, this sounds perfect for Netflix, because they could
really
take it
does.
even darker than
Yes.
cable TV.
I honestly hope that Netflix or Hulu gets it. Probably more so Netflix, because they seem to have a better grip on their original programming. Hulu's got some good stuff, but Netflix has got better original.
Well, I was going to say, the trailer, this is not a topic. I haven't even really watched much of this, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch, they're doing a show on that called something like The Creepy Adventures of Sabrina or something like that. They released a trailer. It looks creepy as hell. Like, I thought it was a horror movie called Sabrina before I watched it and realized, oh, this is that Sabrina the Teenage Witch thing they're doing on Netflix. So, from what I remember of Alan Wake, Netflix could nail it. Could really kick it out of the park.
And this is just good news to me, because Alan Wake, Remedy was partnered with Microsoft. And I've mentioned this a few times. At E3 this year, Microsoft was talking about the studios that they basically bought out or partnered with. And I noticed, wait, Remedy isn't one of these. So I was like, what does that mean? And then sure enough, at Sony, we heard about Control, which is this upcoming Remedy game that looks a lot like Quantum Break that's coming to PS4.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh my gosh, literally the only thing that was holding me, like I bought an Xbox One to play Quantum Break, and I'm going to soon. And now I don't have to worry about that because I have a PlayStation, the best place to play. Hello. But I'm just so glad to be hearing that Remedy is doing more, because I love their stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really good. All right. For the next probably 30 minutes, we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that happened on Thursday of this week. So we're going to dive in. Steven, I'm going to say what I always say when we do a Direct. I'm going to just start reading off what they've done. If you hear about something and you think, hey, wait, I want to hear more about that, Jake, what you got? Let me know. Just stop me. I'm going to stop at a couple places, but you just stop me if you hear something exciting.
Okay.
So they open up the Direct with a huge announcement, in my opinion. Luigi's Mansion 3 coming to the Switch in 2019. They showed a couple quick scenes. I was like, this doesn't look like 2. And also it looked really, really good. But I was like, this doesn't look like the one that was on 3DS. And then, sure enough, they pop up Luigi's Mansion 3, 2019 on Switch, and I was like, ah!
I figured something like that was coming, because to me, the spot with Castlevania for Smash, that kind of gave me a
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. But that's cool.
Really exciting. Great way to start off the show. Another great thing to get out of the way so we can talk about the real games is the 3DS section. I'm going to just skip that. It was 4 games. They were all things we've heard of before. It's nothing new.
The 3DS is a good system.
It was a good system,
It's
Steven.
still a good
Switch
system.
Is here. Put it on the Switch. That honestly, that's been my biggest frustration, because they're doing a bunch of Luigi Mansion. There's a Luigi Mansion 2. It's on 3DS. And then there's a Luigi's Mansion 1 remaster from GameCube that's going on to 3DS right now.
Right.
Why is it not on the Switch? Okay.
That's fine. Just I'll go play some Pokemon after this podcast. Maybe you could. Oh wait, no, you can't join me. Oh, because you don't have Pokemon.
I could join you because I have a 3DS and I have
not
Pokemon
on your Switch.
Sun and Moon.
Oh.
Not on my Switch, and that's frustrating. But it's coming. Don't worry. November 16th, baby. We're gonna be playing some Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. All right, we're gonna be doing it all day long. All right, so we're gonna move on to Switch games. To be fair, I will say I'm glad they did not spend a lot of time on 3DS. There's literally 4 things they talked about, and then they moved on, and I'm really happy about that. So, they are doing a Splatoon update. It was very weird. It was almost like a Japanese anime intro type of thing, how they did it. But they showed off some new weapons. They showed off a new type of grenade, and then it looked like some type of new super ability that you can use, and then a new map. They only showed one map, though, and then they didn't really highlight any of the weapons specifically, so I don't know why that was even worth an update, but here we go. I digress. They talked about Mega Man 11 coming out October 2nd. Mario Aces is getting some DLC. I think it's free. Birdo, Shy Guy, Koopa Paratroopa, and then PD Piranha will all be playable. They're adding a co-op challenge on September 19th to that game. So then we got this beat 'em up bundle that's coming from Capcom. It's a bunch of older. I don't know if they were NES or if they were something else, but older games like King of Dragons and Knights of the Road and some other ones, and it's basically just a bunch of old beat 'em ups. They're gonna have co-op and whatnot. New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. So this is another Wii U port that's coming to the Switch. They're adding Toadette and then this guy called forget what his name is. He's purple. It's like Nabum or Naba or something like that. I can't remember. Brody would be killing me right now because he loved that game. But anyway, I'm sorry, Brody. That's coming out January 11th. Then they announced Katamari Reroll, which is a remaster of the Katamari game, coming to Switch. It's going to have new gyro controls, so that's really exciting. Then they took a break and they talked about Switch Online. So we've known about Switch Online coming for a long time. This is the first we're hearing details of it. Earlier this week, and I've assumed they would have announced this last week when the Direct was originally supposed to happen, but then the earthquake happened. They probably would have announced this in that Direct. But anyway, Switch Online service is launching on September 18th. So we are all going to have to start paying for our Nintendo services soon. But they talked about.
But it's reasonably priced.
It's very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
So they talked about the 5 things you get with it. You obviously get online play, compatible games online, no problem. They talked about how they're going to have a Nintendo Entertainment System library. So, they made it sound like Netflix. Like there have been rumors before that it was going to be like, here's your NES game of the month that you can play, but then it's gone next month. They didn't make it sound that way. They could turn that all around, and it could be that way. And I'll get there in a minute because they did that with something in this already that I know for a fact. But anyway, they showed a growing library of NES classics that you can play. Some of them are going to have new online multiplayer compatibility. Like there's some multiplayer games that are on there that you'll be able to do, and so on. They announced cloud saves. Basically, they had a lot of really cute animations that were going on, like Bowser and Mario, and all these people were like demonstrating how this is all going to work.
Yeah.
And so Luigi had his Switch, and his Switch got broken by a thwomp, and you see his save data like turn into a ghost and go away to the sky. And they talk about no matter how careful you are, you never know what'll happen to your Switch. Like using it on a third-party dock and it bricks. I won't go there.
Rip.
R.I.P. Jake's original Switch. Anyway, they talk about how save data is going to be there, and they talk about how it'll be you can save all your data up there. We already know, and it is already confirmed, that not all games will be able to use cloud saves. It's unclear if it's something that can be patched later, and just when the game was shipping, they didn't have this information yet, and so they couldn't do it, and they're going to patch it later, or if it's just a straight up, sorry, you don't get to cloud save your game. It's unclear, but we do know that not everything's going to be available to do that. They talked about the app, which we already have, but basically you can use that for voice chat. They mentioned, and this was a very Nintendo thing, I feel like, to me, they talked about voice chat, and like when the voice chat app came out, we were all very frustrated, like, why am I having to plug this here, that there, into my phone, use my phone, why am I doing all this? They showed it, and it looked easy enough, but they were talking about, you and a friend can talk, and then it's like, also, anyone who's with you, like, say, Steven, you and I are in the same place, and we're playing a game, but we're voice chatting with Brody, because I'm using it through the Nintendo app, Brody and you and I can converse with Brody at the same time. It's not whoever's just got the headset on. So
yeah.
I don't know if that was just kind of that seems like a weird Nintendo thing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that was an interesting thing they mentioned. And then the last thing they mentioned was special offers, and they didn't talk about it. They just said special offers are coming. We'll have details later. I'm assuming this is going to be like a PlayStation Plus free game of the month type of system. I don't think it's going to be free. I think it's going to be, reduced price for certain games for the month, and once you get them, you got them, and then that's it. Which is exciting. Wasn't expecting anything like that. I hope we get something like that. Even at reduced price, I think that's worth it. That's definitely the most. That's the big thing I get out of my PlayStation Plus. Despite online service, it's really about the free game I get that month and the discounts I can get on other games that are always on sale. But anyway, I wrote these prices down really fast, so I may have gotten this wrong. I was really only concerned about one. For 1 month, it's $5 or $4. Sorry. For 3 months, it's $7.99, and then for 12 months, it's $19.99 or $20. So for an online service, that's not bad.
That's great.
I still, to this day, when I get the renewing payment for PlayStation Plus and it's only $60 or whatever it is, I'm still like, dang, that's not a lot. Like that's not a lot. So to be almost, to be 3 times less than that is great. So I'm really excited about that. They mentioned, if you have a family and they have more Switch systems, you can get a price cut. They didn't show the numbers for that. So a lot of people have been saying they're just going to form a little family group with their buddies and try to get a system down. That's definitely an option that's out there for people. But anyway, then they talked about more games. They announced NES Joy-Cons. So
that's cool.
Literally, the NES controllers are now Joy-Cons, which is very interesting. I know a lot of people were excited about that. Anyway, then they talked about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. They talked about special moves, which are basically the I forget what they were called originally. Stuff like Surf and Slash and
the HMs.
The HMs. Those are no longer in Sun and Moon. They gave you ride Pokemon, which were just things you could call in to do, and so it didn't take up room in your party. Now your partner Pokemon, Pikachu or Eevee, can do all of those moves, and it doesn't take up their move slot either. It's just something they can do automatically.
That's good.
Very interesting. Surf is literally you're surfing on a surfboard with Pikachu, which is super cool. And then flying, which is really funny. They summon a balloon they summon a bunch of balloons with a seat on it, and Pikachu or Eevee drives you on this little ship. It's pretty cute. So anyway, they talked about that, and then they talked about how you can pull up your partner Pokemon, and you can pet him with the touchpad. And when you pet them, Steven, their hair changes. And depending on how you pet them is how their hair will change.
I love it.
So Sparky, I think his name was in the original.
Yeah.
His little quiff that Pikachu had. You can do that.
Oh, yes.
That. It's great. So anyway, that's exciting news. Then they talked about Diablo 3.
Yes.
Comes out November 2nd. I don't know if we had that date beforehand or not.
We did not.
Well, November 2nd. Ganondorf has an outfit, so you can be Ganondorf basically. Then they talked about Mario Party, October 5th. They just showed some different games, talked about how there's some new game modes, there's different ways to play. They talked about the tabletop thing that you can do with Toad. So I'm really looking forward to that game. We're going to be doing Let's Plays of that game, so I'm excited about that. Then Game Freak announced a new game called Town. They showed a little bit of it, but Town is a working title, and I hope it changes. Normally working titles, I'm like, nah, that's pretty cool, but Town needs something else. But anyway, they talked about it's a story game where monsters show up in your town, but everything takes place at the town, and your friendships with villagers will help you fight the monsters because they can apparently throw you things in the middle of the fight if you have good rapport with them or something like that.
Okay.
It looked very concept-y, but it was interesting. So then Daemon X Machina, Steven.
Yes.
Talked about that. Get ready to get real excited here. 4-player co-op. Online.
Yes. Yes.
So, They talked about your mechs are called. It was a really weird name. It was like assaults or something like that. I'm losing my track. I was kind of like really having to hone in because I'm not as interested in this. But it talks about as you defeat enemies, you can take their weapon types and you can build out your mech with all sorts of different weapons. Like there's a laser sword, there's cannons and all sorts of distance artillery. Um, so it looked very cool. I like the style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would enjoy the gameplay, but knowing it's co-op, I know you're going to want me to play with you. So
Yep.
I'm willing to get it to play with you.
I'm buying a Switch, so you owe me.
Are you buying it right now?
No.
Oh, I thought you looked like you were on the computer for a second.
I was looking up
I'm
the.
buying a Switch. I'll be back.
I was looking up the information.
Well, don't buy a Switch yet because you're going to want to hear about this.
The
I got
Smash.
Yeah, the bundle.
That's where I tuned in.
I'm coming in for it. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
And now I can't read what this is. What the hell did I write here? I wrote something 2019, and I have no idea what I wrote. It looks like Warner, but I have no idea. I apologize. I don't know what that was.
Wario?
No. No, it wasn't that. I don't know what it was. Anyway, then they talked about Yoshi Crafted World, which we did not have a title for before. So we finally have a title. It's also going to have co-op. It's just kind of a Yoshi game. It's going to be kind of a mix of, it's like 2.5D kind of movement. So it's side-scrolling, but you'll also flip the thing and go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some like a little bit of depth going in and out. So it should be really interesting. I'm interested to try it. The Switch is a great system for me to like. I always say like I'll try it. It's coming to Switch. You know, like there's always room for trying things on the Switch. But that's coming in 2019. They said spring of 2019, which frankly I find shocking. Like that's crazy. That's way later than I would have thought. But anyway. This was an interesting kind of out of nowhere announcement, for me at least. They announced this tabletop collection called, I think it was like Asono Games or something like that. Anyway, it's tabletop games, so like Pandemic, Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, Kasanso. It's like all of these, but they're like, they're in the Switch, and so you can play them in tabletop mode with a group of friends.
That's cool.
It's the board or card games as they are with like cutscenes and like animations and all this sort of stuff. So
that's really neat. I
really
like that.
interesting. They're adding Catan and Munchkin, which I've never heard of Munchkin, but obviously Catan is a huge board game. Most people who play board games love Catan, so. That was an interesting, out-of-nowhere, pleasant surprise. Like, I really like the idea of this. I don't know how well it would work in practice. But
it's a brilliant idea for what the Switch is, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I still think the Switch is a little too small to handle multiple people trying to watch the same screen. But anyway, then they did a little video about Civ 6 coming to Switch. It's coming on November 16th, and it's going to have 4-player co-op. So... Or I don't know if it's co-op, more like multiplayer, but 4 people.
It can be either because there's bot support.
Right. So anyway, then they talked about Starlink and how Peppy and Falco and all these other characters are going to be in the story missions that are exclusive to the Switch. Side note: you can play the whole game as Star Fox, but these are just exclusive missions for the Switch. Wolf is going to be in those exclusives as the villain. So that's exciting. It was pretty cool. Then they went into, they talked about World Ends With You, how there's going to be a new section called New Day. That all comes out on October 12th. Xenoblade 2 Golden Country, which is supposed to be like a prequel or something. That comes out on September 21st. Warframe coming on November 20th. Just Dance 2019 on... I was writing really fast. I think that's October
26th, I think.
26, okay.
Because Anna saw that and she was like, that's my birthday.
FIFA 19 coming on September 28th or 26th. I'm really my handwriting got really bad here because they were just like bam, bam,
Yep.
bam. Sonic Team Racing is coming this winter. NBA 2K19 is available now. NBA 2K Playgrounds is coming in the fall. Lego DC Villains is coming October 16th. Then they announced, or they talked about Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. It's going to have online co-op 2019. Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition is available today, or if you're listening to this on Friday at 12 o'clock Central Time, it was yesterday.
But it is still available today.
It is still available today, that's true. They also announced World of Final Fantasy. They called it like World of Final Fantasy Max or something.
Yeah, one of those Japanese titles where it adds just adjectives and then
just adds
they call it a day.
November 6th, Chocobo's Dungeon, or Mystery Dungeon or something like that, where you play as Chocobos that are dressed as characters from those games. That's in the winter. Then they announced Final Fantasy 12 Remaster. It comes with a speed mode. It's going to be in 2019. Then they announced Final Fantasy 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all coming in 2019.
And 7.
And 7. Yes, sorry. That one.
Seven's the big one.
That was like a bunch of just like, oh my gosh, what?
Yeah, lots of Final Fantasy, but that's really cool though because those are beloved games.
Yeah, absolutely. Then they announced the Smash Switch bundle. So they showed it's got a new dock that has the original. I don't know if it's 5 or 6, but like the original Smash Brother characters. So Pikachu, Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, whatever, Link. All of those, and then they showed the Joy-Cons, and it's got the X, where like one Joy-Con has the actual X, and then I feel bad for Joy-Con R because it just has like a little dash at the end of it. But anyway, looks great, really cool. Comes with a code to download the game, so you always have Smash with you.
I'm probably gonna get my Switch before that one.
Fair enough. If you don't have a Switch, and you're holding out for it, that's the one to get. My buddy Riley, who I work with, he's waiting to get that. He was like, I'm waiting for this bundle, and then I'm getting it.
It comes out, I think, the 16th of November. It comes out before Smash does.
November 2nd.
Okay, really?
Which is the same day you can get the GameCube controller and.
Well, you know what? I might wait till then because Diablo comes out that day, and.
Just saying, that's an entry point. If you haven't already done it, that's a great entry point.
Yep.
Then. Showed a cutscene, and we're in Animal Crossing in the mayor's office, and Isabella's there working hard. And she has this little dialogue piece where she's just like, I'm so tired. Should I take a break or should I keep working? And the player's like, take a break. She's like, oh, don't worry about me. I'm having a great time working. I'm just here working. The mayor is off camping and playing Smash. I hope he's having a great time. Ding dong. Oh no, someone's here. She runs over. Mailman gives her a letter. She walks back to her desk and is like, what's this? She opens it up. And she like throws it and it does the Isabella turns over a new leaf. And it's like, go time, baby. And so Isabella is in Smash. It did not mention if she was an Echo Fighter or not.
She doesn't look like it.
I assumed if she was going to join, she would be an Echo Fighter to the Villager.
She looks like she uses some Villager moves, but they look different enough.
See, that's and that to me that says Echo Fighter, because that's basically what an Echo Fighter is. But they did not say at all. They didn't even do the thing where like they showed the roster with everybody in that picture and like pop her in. They didn't do that. So anyway, after we see a couple fight scenes, it cuts to Tom Nook and he's watching, and then he cuts it off, and then he kind of just like turns on a light, and he's like, so Isabella's in Smash now. Cool. He's like, I'm so happy when my friends are successful. And then he just kind of droops again. He's like, well, I guess I'll just get back to work, building homes and everything. He's like, because the mayor and Isabella are going to need somewhere to stay when they finish. And he starts typing again, and it fades to black. And I was like, you sons of bitches, don't do this to me. And then it fades back up, and it says Animal Crossing 2019 on Switch. And I screamed. I haven't looked at Twitter yet, but I know it's blowing up right now.
I looked at Anna once Tom Nook showed up, and I was like, they're about to drop Animal Crossing announcement on Switch. And I just said, Jake's going to lose his mind within 30 seconds of this announcement. And then, sure enough, once they were like, the stream is concluded, I got a text from Jake that was like, F yes, Animal Crossing!
Pretty much, yeah. Probably the 30 seconds was a little delayed because I had to actually text you. But anyway, no, very exciting. 2019 honestly is probably a good date. Like that's I would have loved if they had been working on this in the background and it was out December. There's no way. Anything new they announced at this point, I'm expecting in 2019. It could have been later too. That's the big thing. So I'm excited. The cutscenes that we saw looked really good, and I know they weren't necessarily a representation of what the game will be, but I expect great things from this because Nintendo has made so many strides since one of my first Animal Crossing was on GameCube. And we've come so far since then. Yeah. And then all the other ones I've played are on 3DS. And the Switch can do so much more than that. So I'm excited to see where they take the series, what they do with it. I'm really excited for that. But anyway, I screamed. It was that or Tom Nook was going to join Smash. And I was just like, that's too much. Stop. So I'm glad they didn't do that. Do that. Hey everybody, thank you for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a few things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com, and you can hit like this video, you can share this video with your friends, you can leave a comment, let us know what you think about all the topics we talked about, like the Nintendo Direct, or Henry Cavill and how stupid it would be if he left Superman, and all that other stuff we talked about. We talked about a lot. There's a lot of Spiderman in there, there's a lot of Destiny in there, a lot of good stuff. You can leave a comment about that. If you're an audio listener, you're probably listening through iTunes podcast. It would be great if you could leave us a review, let people know what you thought of the podcast. That helps it get found and really helps us out. Lastly, this is an interactive show. We haven't had a lot of interaction just yet. So what we're trying to encourage you to do is write in and let us know what topics you'd like to hear us talk about, like today. Alan Wake. Someone should have written into me and said, hey, there's a new Alan Wake show. I know Steven would probably love this. You should talk about it. If you had done that, I would have read that, and we would have talked about it. But luckily, Steven caught your slack and did it. So,
slackers.
We forgive you. But anyway, you can do that a couple ways. We have a Discord channel. You can get to that through the banner on our YouTube channel, again, chortlegames.com. Or you can get there through the link in this description here in this video, or on iTunes. There we have a channel where you can submit questions and topics for the podcast. We'd love if you do that. We will read them out here, and it's a great way for you to be involved. You can also send us an email at chortlecast@gmail.com. Just let me know what story you want to hear about, if you've got a question or a topic, and we'll read that, of course, here. But this is an involved show. The other way you can keep up with us is to follow us on social media, at Chortle Games on Twitter and at Chortle Games on Facebook. We would really appreciate it if you followed us there. That's the best way to keep up with us. And of course, hit that notification bell and subscribe on YouTube. Again, chortlegames.com. That's where we're at. We've got a great week of content coming up for you. First off, Friday, that's when you're watching this. This podcast happens every Friday at 12 o'clock Central Time. Rain or shine, travel or not, we are doing it. This is like the first time in a while, I feel like, that I've actually been in the podcast studio filming. But anyway, right after this, or right before this, it may have already happened, Steven is playing Destiny, live streaming, searching for Xur. So, if you are a Destiny affiliate, go watch Steven find Xur, see what exotics he has to offer. They're probably going to be crap, so just go ahead and accept that. But go watch, see for yourself, and decide what you want to do with Xur this weekend. After that, we're going to have 2 live streams this Friday. Probably the first live stream, is going to be me and Steven doing our Q&A, celebrating 500 subscribers. That's you beautiful people right there. We're celebrating 500 subscribers. We've asked you all week to submit questions to our Discord, or to us at Chortle Games or chortlecast@gmail.com. We've gotten a couple submissions already, which is great. We thank you guys so much. But this is going to be a live stream. So if you're just hearing about this thinking, dang, I really wanted to ask Jake what his favorite kind of cheese is, you can tune in Friday. It's probably going to be somewhere around the 10 o'clock Central Time zone. We'll be sure to share on social media once we're going live. This is also a Let's Play filming weekend, so we're filming a lot of Let's Plays this weekend. So there's a lot of moving parts. So we're going to let you know when we're going to be doing it as soon as we can on our Discord, Twitter, and Facebook feeds. Anyway, join in, ask your question there. We're going to try to read as many questions as we can, talk about as much as we can. We've already said that, if you want to ask us about our real-life jobs, we'll talk about as much of that as we can. We're not going to answer, stupid questions. Maybe there's a funny level of stupid, and then there's a mean and too far level of stupid.
Yes.
One question we've already got in is, Jake, can I put you in a jar? My answer is yes. I'd love to experience what it would be like to be in a jar because I'm a rather large person. I'd like to see what that would be like. That's a funny level of stupid, okay?
That sounds like hell.
But there's another funny level of stupid that I can't even think of because I don't have an example yet. But
we'll get one.
We're gonna get some. I'll have an example next week. But just be reasonable, be fun, feel free to be fun with it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. A good question right now is to ask me what I think about Pocahontas 2, or any other Disney movie for that matter, because I probably have a rant somewhere built up in me. So if you want to hear me rant for an hour, feel free to drop that kind of question in. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to be doing something else while we do this, but we don't know what that is yet. Our ideas we've thrown around is let's play Jenga, and every time we answer a question, we have to pull a thing. I don't know. We could take shots. I hadn't thought about that. Every time we answer a question, we can take a shot? No? You don't like that? Okay, all right.
I will not get drunk.
Anyway, so I don't know what we're going to do. We are going to be doing something, so it's not going to be just us, talking to you. Although, you may want that, and it is going to be a little bit of that. But hopefully, we will have something else going on that's a little bit entertaining for you to keep it a little mindless and fun. So, anyway, that is this Friday. We will also be doing some other sort of live stream after that. We don't know what that's going to be yet. It may be Spider-Man. It may be something else. Probably something else. We haven't done Wizards of Legend in a long time. We don't know what that's going to be, but stay tuned for that. We do 2 live streams on Saturday also. So the first one will be Far Cry 5 Arcade. That's where me and Steven play fan-made maps in our Far Cry 5 Arcade. It was a mouthful. We haven't done this in a long time. It's a really fun kind of ongoing series that we have. It's going to be really exciting. So if you have a map that you've done in Far Cry Arcade, submit that to us. You can comment on this video. You can tweet us, whatever you want to do to get in touch with us. It's usually best to include the creator name. It's usually how Steven can find it best. So just let us know if you've done that. We want to do that. That's what we're going to be doing. And then we will have another live stream, maybe with Friendly Fire games, maybe not. This is normally the week that we would do a Friendly Fire crossover. But they're not really sure what they're doing yet because they've had some floating around things. So
if we do it with them, it'll probably be Crucible on Destiny.
Yes. So,
but that's not confirmed yet.
That'll be great because then I can get my headshots, precision kills on a hand cannon. That's going to be a great.
Got to get the invader kills and get it first.
Well, I'm going to have to do that later. So anyway, we will have a second live stream on Saturday. It may be with them. It may not. We may do something different. Who knows? And then we take a break on Sunday. Monday, we got a Let's Play for you. It's going to be me and Steven playing this little VR game called Rec Room.
Oh, God, you used the footage?
I have not finished this Let's Play yet, but it is already hilarious. If you're unfamiliar with Rec Room, just gotta look it up, see what you think. It's hilarious. It falls apart real quick in the best way possible. So we had a lot of fun with it.
Jake,
we were crying, laughing.
Is there going to be footage of me yelling at an 8-year-old kid?
Yes, there is actually.
Oh, God.
There is footage of Steven yelling at children. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to want to see that. And then on Tuesday, we do Team Up Tuesday. Right now, we're playing through Destiny a lot. So we'll continue Forsaken. It is unclear at this point whether we'll have more mission stuff in the Dreaming City or if we'll just be bopping around doing some weekly reset stuff, having a good time.
I believe by Tuesday, if we play a little bit more, we could do some Dreaming City stuff because it's 5:30 is the light level that most of it is.
Yeah. And see, I'm over 500 now. What are you at right now?
I'm approaching 520, I believe.
Okay, all right. So you're better than me in every way.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, we can at least I can at least be effective, or I'm not dead weight. You know, when we were walking around doing a public event, I was actually doing damage as a 400. Like I was like a 490 or something, and I was doing damage. I just was also getting killed immediately. As a 5'10", I could probably at least not die immediately, you know. So anyway, we'll play around with that. Probably be doing some Dreaming City stuff, but we're going to be playing Destiny. On Wednesday, Steven and I are doing another Let's Play. It will be us playing this game called Extreme Exorcism. It's kind of a four-person multiplayer co-op. I don't know what it is, really. I guess it's a shooter, but it's like a pixel art type of game. It's really interesting. The concept is, as you die, a ghost comes back and copies your move from the last game. So it's really interesting.
It's like co-op duck game a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, it's very good. We did a Let's Play of that. That'll come on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Steven will continue his live stream series of Phantom Doctrine. So if you want to join the Chortle Intelligence Agency, tune in on that Thursday, and Steven can create a character to represent you, and we'll see how long it takes for you to die. Or join the KGB, whatever happens. And then next Friday, we'll have another podcast. We'll have another Where the Heck is Zer live stream. 2 live streams on Friday, and then 2 live streams on Saturday. So we do a lot of content here, okay? All right? There's a lot going on here at Chortle Games. So, anywho, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Again, please leave a like, share with your friends, all that good stuff. Steven, thank you for being here as always.
Of course.
Glad we can always make this work out. It's always good to just chat it up with you.
Absolutely.
Every week and all that good stuff. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this live on Friday at 12 o'clock Central Time, we'll see you in a little bit for a live stream. And if not, we'll see you next week for another podcast. Bye.